Hi! So I am filming in my car because it is raining outside, and I kind of like that sound. But I can't go inside because my boyfriend is asleep for his night shift. So I decided to go on out to my car. I wanted to make a video because I have since gotten a UTI following my D-mannose and probiotic regimen every day, and then extra D-mannose with risky behaviors has kept me UTI free for the past 7 months, which is seriously unheard of for me. I mean, if you watched my last video, you know I was getting UTIs like 10 to 12 a year. So to not get one for 7 months is just out of this world for me. But I got one, and I really didn't want to treat it with antibiotics. And I can say that I have successfully managed to treat it with D-mannose powder. So I'm gonna do 2 segments to this video. Segment 1 is gonna be a story, and segment 2 is gonna be the regimen that I found that's worked for me. So if you're more interested in that regimen, I'm just gonna put the time in the description below, and then you can skip right to it. You don't have to listen to me talk more than you want to. So I got this acute UTI maybe like 5 or 6 days ago. And I did some research on the web, and of course I found one clinical study where women were given 2 grams of D-mannose every 2 to 3 hours for 2 to 3 days, and like some 90% of them were cured of their UTIs. And so this is all I read. I get super excited, and I'm like, cool, I'm gonna take 2 grams of D-mannose every 2 to 3 hours using my 500 milligram pills that I told you guys about last time. So I start that, I do that for about 2 days, and I can say that during those 2 days my UTI didn't get any worse, and I did feel asymptomatic some of the time. And I think anyone listening that gets chronic UTIs knows that you can tell the difference between like a lower infection that isn't as bad, and then the infections where you're like, someone blew up a balloon of acid and put it in my bladder. And so taking the 2 grams of the pills every 2 to 3 hours for 2 to 3 days made it so that my UTI didn't progress, and I would say at times made it a little bit better, but I was still waking up in the middle of the night with urgency frequency, and when I finished peeing I would still have that little like where you just know something's wrong. And by the second day I actually woke up with a headache, which is super unusual for me. Not only are headaches not really a symptom that I get with UTIs, but also I don't really get headaches. I'm lucky, but they're not something that I really experience very often, and so I figured something was up. And so I did some more research, and I think that 2 grams every 2 to 3 hours may have been a little bit of an overkill on my end. And so I read about other women's success with D-mannose powder, and I learned the difference between the pills and the powder. So with my pills that I've been taking, there are other ingredients, and those include cellulose, rice flour, stearic acid, magnesium stearate, and silica, which is written on the other ingredients right here. Which, you know, that's fine. But you can buy powder. And I specifically bought this brand after reading reviews on Amazon, because you know that's what internet research for this kind of stuff is. Alternative methods. It's always like random comments on anecdotal articles and like people commenting on Amazon products. But this specific D-mannose powder got quite a bit of very, very positive reviews, including women saying that they've used it to cure acute UTIs. And super exciting, the only ingredient is D-mannose. Here you can see the other ingredients, it says none. It's not going to come into focus. recording on an iPad. But I swear, the other ingredients is none. Anyway, and so I was like, great, maybe what I need to do is steer clear of the pills for an acute UTI and get the powder. So I paid $8.99 in shipping and overnighted this powder to myself. And I've been using it. This is the beginning of the 3rd day. And I read the general consensus was taking like half a teaspoon to a teaspoon, mixing it with water every 2 to 3 hours for 3 to 5 days. And I can say that I felt the difference after like 4 or 5 hours using this. And I've been symptom free for a day and a half now. I'm gonna go ahead and stick it out and do it for 5 days because I am a cautious human. But I feel great. And it's super easy to take. And I'm actually due to take a dose, so I'll show you guys how I do it. It is very, very easy. So I guess I will go into the regimen now. So welcome if you are skipping my storytelling and going straight into the regimen. So the regimen is this. I take between half a teaspoon and a teaspoon of this specific D-mannose powder every 2 to 3 hours. And I have been for the last 3 days. And from my research, I've read that you should do this between 3 to 5 days for the most success. I've been asymptomatic for at least a day and a half, and I'm going to go ahead and do this for a full 5 days, just to cover all my bases. So I will also take the time now to say that Cal is not paying me any money. I found this product on my own on Amazon, and I'm choosing to share it with you for no reason other than I think maybe you could cure your acute UTI with it. No money involved. So it's super easy to use, and I will show you because I'm due for a dose. So I just unscrew the lid. Voila. Okay, I'm doing this in my car, so forgive me. I get my measurings out, and here's the, I swear I can use this. I know what I'm doing. There's the half a teaspoon. Here is a cup, a wine glass, because that's the way that I am. And I'm just taking half a teaspoon-ish, putting it in this glass. Easy. Getting some water. Filling up the glass. Voila. Closing the water bottle. And then I'll just use this same teaspoon to stir. And then it's super easy, you just drink it. Cheers. I'm gonna pour a little bit more in there. It looks like there's a little bit of residue. But that's it. It is so easy. And it doesn't really have much of a taste. It just kind of tastes like a little bit sweeter than regular water. But no extra ingredients, just you and D-mannose. Super easy. And I also think that I'm gonna, after I finish the 5 full days of this, I'm going to go back to using the pills for my preventative daily regimen that I talked about in my last video. And then once I run out, I think I'm gonna start using the powder for both any future acute UTIs and also for my preventative regimen, because I'm floored by how well it is clearing out my UTI. I also think it's important for me to say that D-mannose is effective for UTIs caused by E. coli. If you remember from my last video, I talked about the finger-like projections and the adhesiveness of D-mannose and how it literally flushes the bugs from your track. But UTIs can be caused by other bugs. So 90% of the time it's going to be E. coli, but they can be caused by other bugs. So if you decide to try this for an acute UTI and you don't feel better after 2 days, please go to a doctor and go ahead and get a culture, get a urine sample, because if it's being caused by another bug, D-mannose isn't going to help. And oops, got some D-mannose on my hands. Anyway, oh, and I guess I should also say again, I said in my last video, I'm not a doctor or a nutritionist or a pharmacist. I am a physical therapy student. Physical therapist student. And so please try these things knowing that you're not getting this information from a pharmacist or someone with a degree in supplementation. I am just trying to figure out ways to work with my urinary system without flooding my system with antibiotics. Anyway, I hope this has been helpful. D-mannose is a game changer, in my opinion, for me personally. And if it's even going to help one other person, then it's worth it. It's worth filming in my car during a thunderstorm. So I hope you guys, anyone watching, has a great rest of their day. And I hope this was helpful. And maybe I will see you next time. Okay, bye.